Schweizer Bobbahn was the prototype Mack Bobsled. Located at Europa Park, I had placed this coaster on my worst coasters list in early 2021. However, I rerode this coaster later that year, and my opinion on the coaster has changed. Slightly. Find out what I now think about the Swiss-themed bobsled in this review. Around 10 bobsled coasters were built in the 1930s, but the model then went extinct for nearly 5 decades. The early bobsled coasters were made of wood, but none of the originals still stand. The only wooden bobsled coaster still operating today is Flying Turns at Knoebels, which opened late in 2013 after a 7-year construction process. Intamin reintroduced the bobsled coaster in the mid-1980s, and the biggest difference from the early ones were that these coasters would be made of steel. Intamin built 3 for the 1984 season, but only 5 total. Only 2 of them still remain. Mack would build a prototype bobsled coaster at Europa Park in 1985 in Schweizer Bobbahn, and the model would be a little more successful than the Intamin ones. 6 were built, but 5 still remain. The Mack models have 2 key differences from the Intamin ones. First, the Intamin bobsleds use single-car trains, while the Mack ones feature a chain of bobsleds strung together. The longer trains allow for increased capacity. Second, while the trough was also made of steel, it was slatted on the Mack ones to allow it to drain after rain. The Intamin ones can be closed for days after a rainstorm. The construction does have a trade-off though. The Mack ones are bumpier. Because the wheels are essentially running over a graded surface, the vehicle vibrates throughout. The Intamin ones ride more smoothly because it's a full surface. When I first rode Schweizer Bobbahn, the vibrations killed the ride for me. However, I have since learned a key trick to enjoying these Mack bobsleds. Lean forwards. If your back isn't in contact with the seat back, you don't notice the shimmy nearly as much. This made the experience much more comfortable for me. One thing that didn't change was how awesome this coaster's appearance is. I love how the track is integrated into the Switzerland area, and because Europa has 4 to 5 trains on the track at once, there's so much kinetic energy just walking around this area. You see bobsleds whizzing overhead and shooting through tunnels non-stop. Schweizer Bobbahn usually has a decent wait, hovering around the 20 to 30 minute mark. Each train only has 6 cars, seating up to 12 riders, but the lightning-fast dispatches and many trains keep the line moving. And you actually bring your bags with you on the ride. That's a rarity for most coasters outside the Disney ones. Up to 2 riders can be seated in a car. You are seated in line similar to a log flume, so it can be awkward. Then you're secured by just a loose lap bar. Once dispatched, you turn out of the station and ascend the 62-foot or 19-meter tall lift hill. At the top, you navigate this slow and wide 180-degree turn. Then comes 2 elements you don't usually see on the other bobsled coasters. First, you have a decently tall straight drop, and that's followed by an uphill ascent. The drop, while unique, is tame and uneventful, as is the rise into the mid-course brake run. I mean, you really don't want the bobsled to get airtime. We know how that works in Roller Coaster Tycoon. Schweizer Bobbahn then navigates 3 consecutive downward U-turns, and you gradually build up speed. This leads into a decent finale. You have a counterclockwise helix immediately followed by a clockwise helix. These 2 elements have solid speed and okay force to them, and I like the little rock tunnel you pass in between the helixes. You then rise up into a shed and hit the brake run that essentially ends the ride, although you still have a few more turns and many block zones to pass through before hitting the unload station. Schweizer Bobbahn only has 1,598 feet or 487 meters of track, and it does feel that short. While the pacing isn't all that strong until the end of the ride, what about the swinging? You only really notice the bobsleds creeping up the wall during the final 2 helixes. You're going too slow earlier in the ride to do this. So what would I rate Schweizer Bobbahn? I would give this prototype a 4 out of 10. I really like this ride's appearance, and it paved the way for the bigger bobsleds from Mack down the road. But this layout just isn't too strong. The 2 helixes at the end are the only exciting parts. The rest of the ride is spent meandering or passing through block zones. This is why I think it's the worst bobsled coaster I've ridden, but by leaning forwards, it's at least no longer uncomfortable. So those are my thoughts on Schweizer Bobbahn at Europa Park. What are your thoughts on the original Mack Bobsled? How do you think it compares to the others from either Mack or Intamin? Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you considered subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.